Right, stand by. Roll sound.
Speed.
Roll camera.
Speeding.
Slate.
Scene 1, take 1, mark.
And action. Hey everybody, here we are at Burnie's Applebox today, and we've got a great show. You might have noticed in this show, if you've been watching for a while, I don't have big DPs and directors and movie making. I have the real people in our industry, because that's what fascinates me, is what work models these people have used to have a successful career in media. And most of them are people you've never heard of, maybe never met, but they produce the millions of hours every day of video produced in the world. And just look at the numbers. I think on Facebook now, it's 7 days of content downloaded every minute. So put those numbers together and you'll see how many people are in this world making content. And one of the great people that I have known for a long time, guy I've admired for a long time, is my good friend, Ivan Gonzalez.
Hey, Burnie.
Nice seeing you again, Ivan.
Nice seeing you too.
And we run into each other, I would say, once every 6-9 months or so, but I'll ask somebody to work and they go, oh, I'm working for Ivan that day, sorry, can't do it. So, we keep up with each other and sort of know what's going on. But you have had a career that I think really exemplifies sort of the stair steps that somebody takes in the business. I remember probably 10, maybe even 15 years ago is when I met you. And I met you because you walked up and introduced yourself to me. I was on a set, I was visiting someone else, and before I left, you could just go, hey, Burnie, I just wanted to introduce myself. I'm Ivan, I've heard about you. And of course, I had heard about you as well, mostly in a crew status, like, hey, hire this guy is great. And I just thought it was so good. And of course, back and forth, we've been talking over the years. So the first thing I think that I'd like to know is, how you doing today? Number one.
I'm
you
doing
good?
great.
All right.
This is actually takes me back to back in high school. You remember after third period, I think, or before third period, there was silent reading period, and then right after that come the morning announcements.
We called that detention in my school. Yeah.
Well, we had the morning announcements, right? And one time, a friend of mine used to always do the morning announcements, and one time he just came and got me out of the classroom, like, hey, Ivan, come here. I got to do the morning announcements that one day. It was like, wow, this is awesome.
That was your first introduction to media, right?
Yeah.
Being on the school system and doing the announcing.
Kind of, yeah. I mean, I was doing videos when I was like 7 years old. But,
Okay, so well, that's probably as good a place to start. What got your initial interest in video, interest in media and being in it?
Well, I can't remember specifically when. I just know that I really like making movies with my brother and sister and with my dad and my mom. And we just kind of, we had a video camera and we play around.
And you were on a VHS at that time,
It was actually
right?
beta.
It was actually beta.
Yes,
oh,
Betacam.
interesting.
Or
Betamax.
Betamax. Yes.
Betamax.
It was
yeah.
Betamax. So
the lost system of the ages, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so we just had fun with it, and then I just kind of forgot about it during high school and whatever, and kind of didn't know what I wanted to do after I finished high school and started working at a record store. And then I was like, oh, you know what? I actually remember I like making videos and films and stuff. I'll go back to school. And
so you kind of rediscovered it then after liking it as a kid. And that's so interesting, because I think that is one of the things that has really changed the industry, is so many people just like yourself as a young person. Now you were on Betamax, of course. Now they're using their phones.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But so many young people now can play with video. They can experiment. Just watching, I mentioned this on last week's show as well, but watching the documentary on Spielberg, that HBO has on, it was so apparent that his parents gave him that latitude to use the film camera, to go and play with it and do things.
Yeah.
That was a very early beginning of somebody in those days, in that time period. They didn't really intersect a lot of film or well, because there wasn't, I mean, there was video, but it wasn't consumer video at that time. And his experimentation, obviously, where that led him. But you were the next generation, I think, that was coming up and just starting to experiment with those things. I think it's so exciting. What do you remember any of the projects that you did when you were a kid?
We did like fake commercials and little things where we'd like make people disappear, you know?
Okay,
You hold the camera and then you cut and then somebody leaves and then you roll and you're like, whoa, where did they go? You know, that kind of fun stuff.
Yeah, so it was fun.
Tricks.
It was.
We told stories.
Told stories, but you learned in there the process.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, then you were learning, well, we got to do this. This has to work this way or it won't work. And here's the edits and cuts we have to make.
Yeah.
All of that stuff. That's great. So now you got out of high school, and now you've sort of reestablished an interest in media and stuff like that. Where did that take you?
I went to Orange Coast College.
Okay.
And went through the whole film video department, the career. And
What for 2-year program was that?
yeah, it was a 2-year program, but it took me 3.
Man after my own heart.
Yeah. And so I just kept doing some of the same classes over and over. Took a lot of photography as well.
Yeah.
Because I wanted to be good at it, not just get through it.
Yeah.
And I was one of the last ones to use 16 millimeter film.
Oh, you were? Well,
Yeah.
I was just going to ask you, in that time, the 2 or 3 years you were there, what was the most memorable or important thing you think you learned from that school?
Working as a team. Because you had to help each other out. And also definitely working as a team. Sometimes you were the director and sometimes you were just the sound guy or helping with the lights or whatever it took to kind of make everybody's project better. Also, one of the teachers was, adamant about having good writing. So he would always coach us about that. So I think that having an arc, a character arc, and, the even 3 acts to almost any piece you do. I still use that. Even for 2-minute videos,
Okay.
I still use some of that knowledge. It's funny, it took me only, 17 years to start using that knowledge. But, because before that, I was production manager, whatever. Didn't need to worry about the story.
Right.
But now that I'm doing my own videos, I'm going back to that knowledge that I learned back then at OCC and at the LA Film School as well.
Okay, so that was it, working as a team and then constructing a story or your act. In other words, putting in a very traditional sort of system to be able to tell the story, even if it's 2 minutes long.
Exactly.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I wonder that a lot. You know what I mean? Because I think the things that you really learn, the technology always changes a lot. So anybody who's you said you learned on film. Well, you're certainly not shooting film anymore, right? Yeah, they haven't done it for a long time too. So as you got out, you graduated. Was that it? Did you do the 2-year program and then go out into the world and start? Tell me about your first job.
One of my first jobs was as a PA for free for a short film up in LA. We got to shoot at one of those hotels that are in like 5th Street, 6th Street, where they're basically...
Really nice neighborhood.
Oh, great neighborhood. They literally are selling crack right outside the front door.
Yeah, literally. No, I know that. I worked down on 5th and Town for a mission down there when I first started.
Yeah.
And so it was a church organization that was helping the homeless and stuff like that. And yeah, we'd look right out the window and watch the line of people. They were selling crack just at a little table. You know what I mean? It was pretty blatant. But yeah, so you were down there in a real nice part of town in LA, downtown LA, shooting.
Yeah.
So what was the project?
It was a short film. I never got to see the finished product, unfortunately.
Okay.
But it was somebody who was up-and-coming DP with an up-and-coming director. And, and they kind of tell you that way, like, oh, we know a lot of great people.
And you're thinking, hey, this is a good chance. I'll get in. I'll meet some people. But getting yourself on set was the most important thing you needed to do right then.
Exactly.
And you accomplished that.
Yeah, and I did a lot of that. And as I got more experience, I wouldn't PA for free after a little while, but I would do other things for free that would help me grow.
Yes.
Like AD or anything else of that matter. Mostly AD.
Something that put you in a different category, and you could start moving up the food chain.
Exactly, because more than paying my bills, I was focused on growth.
Yes.
Because if I could grow, then it would work. And so a lot of times, I finally started getting commercial work as a PA. And sometimes we didn't have a second AD, for example.
Right.
And then the first AD would just plug me and say, hey, I know you've got some experience with that. Can you help me out? And I would gladly help out. Sometimes I'd get a bump, sometimes I wouldn't. But the AD would call me later for other projects.
Right. Right. So important. That networking you were doing, that meeting the people and knowing who they were and what they did and how you could fit in.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so when I was PAing on commercials mostly, I was always under the, my motto is, it doesn't matter what you've been doing yesterday, today you're at 100%.
Yep.
And it doesn't matter if you have an 18-hour day.
Yep.
You're still going to be at 100% at the end of the 18-hour day. You can pass out when you get home.
Yeah. Yeah, very good.
But
very good.
I was probably one of the hardest working people on set every time.
Yeah.
And people noticed. I mean, I've got people like, Tom McDonald.
Sure.
He noticed, and he said, hey, you want to learn how to grip? I'm like, yeah. Why not?
Yeah.
I could make more money, right?
Yeah, exactly. And expand your skill base.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Like you talk about working in a team. Well, if you're working in a team, you have to know what the team members need to do.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? So you need that hands-on, at least if you're not the best in the field and you're probably hiring the best that you can get. You need to know what that person does and how to judge their abilities based on your own knowledge.
Exactly.
So now, like when Tom got you on and saw that, because I think you really hit on probably the most important thing that I still operate under this way, is that you have to be invaluable, and you have to do that 100%, 110% every time you're out there, And if you fall down, it hurts only one person, right? It's only you.
Yes.
It really doesn't hurt the production as badly as it's going to hurt your future, jobs and stuff that are coming in. So I think that attitude of really attacking it is what makes people either successful or they just don't make it, And I think we both know a lot of people who have gone up to a certain level but could never break through, and then there's the others that are just always trying to achieve. I know you're that way, I'm that way, and hence this show. I mean, that's what I'm trying to do now. Is I've achieved on some levels, now I'm trying to achieve in a larger level, in a larger market, in a bigger thing, and I know you are too.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. What, tell me, now Tom, offered to teach you to grip and stuff, but I know you went more the production route.
Yes.
Yeah.
So at first I was, I learned how to grip, and I was getting jobs every once in a while with Tom, with Greg Kendrick.
Sure.
With Jeremy Sykes,
Sure.
and Ralph Linghart. I got a few different jobs. I was doing a lot of press junkets and things like that. But I was also, by then, I had also learned a lot of the technical stuff because I was kind of interning at Gear Monkey. They have a lot of video equipment.
Right.
So I learned how to use the cameras and all that stuff. So now I was hired as an AC as well in some sets.
Great.
And later on I was hired as a camera operator.
Okay.
So I was paying my bills as doing everything.
Yeah.
So people would ask me like, hey, are you going to join a union? I'm like, which one?
Yeah.
I can't.
I do it all.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I was paying my bills with that. But then I started to see how if you're working one day on set, a production coordinator is working 3 or 4 days on that.
Right.
They get paid less per day, but at least you've got more,
You've got a wider kind of footprint there.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I asked some of the production managers and line producers that I knew, I said, hey, let me help you out for free so you can teach me the ropes. Mm-hmm. And so I did that for, I don't know, about a month or so. And I learned how to be a production coordinator. And when jobs became available, I did get passed up a couple times in certain places.
Sure.
But eventually, I got in. I got my chance to be production coordinator, and worked out. And
Yeah.
so just kept working at it, and eventually moved up. And then I saw, as I was a production coordinator, I noticed, hey, I've got 4 days of work for this one day shoot, but the production manager, or the production manager gets 7 days of work for my 4 days of work,
Right.
and gets a little bit more.
Yeah.
So how do I get into that?
Yeah.
And so then I started to kind of try to get some production manager jobs, and certain people gave me a chance, like Jimmy Lopez. He's a long
Jimmy
time
Lopez,
line
sure,
producer.
absolutely.
So he would call me up, and I used to like even PA for him and everything.
Yeah.
And so he always knew, it's like, hey, bud, you want to help me out?
Yeah.
And so I'd help out or go in if he was too busy, then he would let me replace him.
Yeah.
He had enough
Oh,
trust
that's
in me.
awesome. That's
Yeah.
awesome. So the guy that was hiring you now he's got so much trust in you. He's seen your diligence, and now he's taking you and throwing you maybe a few lighter jobs that he couldn't do.
Exactly.
Yeah.
If he was too
that's
busy,
awesome.
he would let
That's
me
really
handle them.
awesome. That's really awesome.
And then, I was making my mark, I guess you could say, as a
Sure.
production manager.
Yeah.
And then the crash happened, 2008.
Yeah.
And I was out of work for about a month.
Yeah.
But then after that, I was busy as a production manager. Work did not stop coming for 2 years.
That's awesome.
I mean, I feel bad for
That's
everybody else
awesome.
around me, because
Yeah.
everybody kept calling me for work.
Yeah.
But I guess I was at the top of a lot of different companies' lists.
Well, that's very true, and I think really what it just sort of says is that one thing is, and it's been my business philosophy forever, is I don't want anybody more than 15% of my entire work.
Exactly.
Because if I lose one person, I can replace that 15% at the top, or it's 5%, or whatever their number represents in my overall business. But that is so important because you did that. And it's probably a little bit like me. It wasn't like, in retrospect, I'd like to say it's because I was so smart and I executed my business plan flawlessly. But, blind dumb luck has a lot of good things going for it in this
Yeah.
business too. So I imagine it was the same way. You just had a lot of clients because you were a hustler. And you
Yeah.
were out there talking and looking to a lot of people. And because I know this about you, your reputation preceded you. In other words, you're over at Gear Monkey, you were working with the gear. Those people say, hey, we've got Ivan do it. People meet you, they see you're diligent. And when you come to them in another role, they're going to look, this guy's moving up the ladder. Let me give him a chance. Or I want to, I want to absorb some of his energy.
Yeah.
Which is
possibly.
very true. So when you were working for Mr. Lopez,
Yeah.
was that with script to screen?
No, actually, he was already gone from script to screen.
Okay.
So that was a good thing for me, because thanks to him being out in the real world,
Right.
as I'd like to call it, because
Right.
script to screen, you could be working there all year long.
Yes.
Especially
And
back
we should
then.
say this for the people who don't know: script to screen, and this was back in
Let's say 2006, 2007.
2006, 2007. But they had, even at that time, been a major force in
Oh,
infomercials. They were a real leader in that industry,
Oh, yeah.
in that facet of media. And they were not at all small players. They were in your range of, I don't know if this is true. I heard a rumor one time that they wouldn't accept a budget under $350,000. Now, that could be BS or not, and you don't have to confirm anything for
That
that.
could be different now. at
Yeah,
least.
it could be. But think of that clout. Like
Mm-hmm.
under 350,000, it's just not worth us to put our time and effort into
Exactly.
that. So they've had some big players, and they had enormous success,
Yeah.
as you know. Tell me about what it was like when you entered that organization.
Well, when I first entered it, it was as a PA,
Mm-hmm.
which is really funny because this was way back when I was still doing a lot of freebies and stuff.
Okay.
But a friend of mine from school, I told him, hey, yeah, I'm looking for work. If you know anybody. He's like, oh, I heard somebody got a new job at a company in Orange County that does infomercials. I'm like, oh, that's cool. Well, let him know I'm available. Okay, cool. And so 2 months went by, never heard. And then I got a call at like 11 in the morning, and he's my buddy from school, John Rodriguez, and he's like, "Hey, Ivan." I'm like, "Hey, John, long time." He's like, "I heard you've been looking for work." I'm like, "Yeah. Are you available today?" Sure.
Yeah.
Come on down. So I lived in Anaheim Hills, and Script to Screen is just, off of Tustin Boulevard.
Sure.
So I'm like, I'll be there in half an hour. Cool. Yeah. So my first ever day at Script to Screen, I was making phone calls with different prop houses and places where they sold mannequins to find out if they could make a wax mannequin head and at what temperature that head would melt. Literally, that was my first job at Script to Screen.
That's a good one.
Yeah,
I like that.
Turns out it was for a car additive, so they wanted to do some demo with like heat and show the mannequin's head melting.
Okay,
so
good, fair enough.
In the end, it's like, oh wow, that's pretty neat,
Yeah.
And and that was my first day of work there. But they were so busy that next thing you know, Paul Kaiser, another line producer / production manager, was walking by and he's like, "Hey, are you available to come help me tomorrow?" Like, yeah, sure. And then on the next day, somebody calls me from the office there and says, "Hey, can you help me tomorrow?" And I worked for 2 straight weeks without a day off after my first day at Script to Screen.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. You must have just been pulling the train whistle.
Yeah.
Run. Yeah.
And then I said, "Oh, by the way, I can drive a truck." Oh, great.
Hold that thought. Hold that thought. We're going to go to a quick little break right now, and we'll be right back, and we'll hear about that truck driving experience.
All right.
Hi, I'm Burnie. I own Burnie's Grip and Lighting, San Diego Grip and Lighting, and Los Angeles Grip and Lighting. You know, we pride ourselves on not only renting you the best equipment, but also giving you the best crews. And one of our core values here at Burnie's Grip and Lighting is that we give you the highest production value in the world. And remember, people used to say national, local. No, we present world-class production value on every set. We also know budgets are very tight these days, and you've got 10 hours to get what you need in the can. We move ahead, we move fast, and we know what you need. When you rent from Burnie's Grip and Lighting, you have a partner on your production for that day that is making sure you are well taken care of. So anytime you're in Southern California, give us a call at 714-609-3545, and we'll take very good care of you. See you on set. Hey everybody, we are back with Ivan Gonzalez, and Ivan was going to tell us just about starting with Script to Screen, and you gave them the information that every production company wants to hear from a PA, and that is, yes, I can drive the truck.
Yes, exactly.
So now you work for 2 weeks straight and you've told them you can drive a truck. So now what happens?
Well, now I started driving their, 15-foot cubes.
Yep. Know them well.
Enterprise trucks.
Yep.
I always got them from Enterprise. But then started getting some jobs were bigger. We had treadmills or whatever. Mm-hmm. So we would need like a 5-ton truck or a 24-footer.
Sure.
And I was okay with that. The first time I drove, I was kind of coaxed into it, but I was very safe about it, and realized, hey, I can do this, no problem. So I just went for it, and I did it. And since then, they always knew me. I was like, hey, this guy can drive a truck.
And you were probably a first call after that, right? You were getting called one of the first calls.
Yeah,
okay.
They had enough work going for plenty first calls.
Yes, they did. Yes, they did. They were very busy. When you were with Script to Screen, did you know, okay, I'm with the big player now, this is, because I mean, look, here in our market, they're certainly well known. I don't know.
Yeah.
I think in the inside industry, they're very well known. What were some of the projects that are memorable to you, you worked with them on?
Oh,
and what impressed you about them?
I have done so many projects with Script to Screen over the years, as in all facets, from producer all the way down to PA. And I mean, obviously my producer projects were really fun, like the Rack and Metrics 180. But working in, below the line, I would say the Auric shows were always fun.
Okay.
There were always long days, but always had a good time. And there was just always something cool about, especially when you had a host shoot.
Mm-hmm.
You walk into the set and there's 40, 50 people on the crew, sometimes more.
Yeah.
And you've got the jib, you've got all the stuff, and there's lights everywhere, and you just walk into a real stage, and it's like, hey, this is
We're doing something
yeah,
here. Yeah.
I'm like, hey,
yeah.
going to school took me somewhere.
Yeah, yeah, no,
It's
that's
fun.
got to be a very big pump up working with them at that time and
Yeah.
looking back on your career and the people that you met along the way and everything like that. No, that had to be very gratifying, I'm
Yeah.
sure.
And then another thing with script to screen that I've always felt is it's not so much the company, but the people inside the company.
Sure,
Everybody, it's like a family.
yeah.
I mean, it's
It was a nurturing place to work. They
Yeah.
weren't beating you down or anything
Well-
like that. Well, maybe a little beat down, maybe a little beat down, but
A little bit,
I know the
but,
hours were unbelievable.
Yeah.
The hours were long and hard, and every time I worked for them, it was a long shoot.
Yeah.
Every time was a long shoot.
Now, was it a little bit frustrating when you would see that everybody else in the crew is making, 5 times what you're making after an 18-hour day?
Yeah, right.
A little bit, but
Yeah.
at least the people that are inside script to screen are very much like family, and I've always seen them that way.
Right.
And yeah,
Well, you know what? I think too that is funny because I'm a day player, in my business, G&E, and I know that does exist sometimes. I think the line producers look at that and they go, "Man, this guy he's bringing it home." Now, if they knew how much of that money doesn't stay with me, I think they'd be a little more sympathetic.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But when you're a freelancer, you're charging a freelancer rate because you're charging for your availability too.
exactly.
And that's a tough thing. But yeah, I know that probably got you a little even more motivated.
Yeah, so that's why when I was PAing and I would do a 20-hour day, and
Yeah.
the guy next to me was making over $1,000, and I'd still be making like 250, 300 maybe.
Yeah, right.
I'd be like, all right, I want to do what that guy's doing.
Yes.
And that's why I
yes.
started, when
So that was sort of a pattern of your career. You saw the next better job, and you said, "Hey,
Exactly.
I'm going for that."
yeah, you just got to keep moving up.
Yeah.
So going forward, I guess fast forwarding, now I'm a production manager.
Right.
And I was doing about 40% of my year was taken up at script to screen and 60% in LA.
So now you're still freelancing, but you're getting some of your own work. You're getting smaller projects or things that you have a connection with people, and you're bringing them in, doing it for your own production company, yet still working for
I had
script to screen.
every once in a while I'd get a little project for my own little production company. I actually had our first try at a production company was myself, my good friend Christoph Andres, who's a DP.
Yeah, Christoph, sure.
And then a buddy of ours named Boris Molina. We kind of formed a little production company called Raven Studios.
Okay.
And it was a side project. Like I wasn't gonna I wasn't gonna quit my job
Sure.
to do that. But we had that going for a couple years, and we did a couple projects that were fun. They were super low budget,
Yeah.
like $1,500.
Yeah.
But we just wanted to get things going, and
Sure.
it didn't quite work out. But at least we had that experience.
Well, it's good to learn too what it takes to have a production company, because I think a lot of people, and myself included, thought, "Oh, I could just go make a production company." And says, there are a lot of things. If you go to shoot, you had better be prepared. And I learned very quickly in doing a couple projects that yes, I could call myself whatever I wanted to.
Yeah.
But to act like a real production company, it takes some finances. It takes some and expertise.
Yeah. So after I was pretty much over the line producing aspect of it.
Yeah.
I was like, what else can I do? It's fun, but I can't do this for the rest of my life.
Right.
So I started to inquire. I started to do some freelance producer projects, and then Script to Screen hired me as a staff associate producer, and then later on a staff producer.
Okay.
So I worked
now
at
you were
Script to
on
Screen
full
on
time.
staff. Yeah,
Okay.
for 2 years.
Did they allow you to freelance?
There wasn't really time to freelance.
Okay, yeah.
I
It was like
work-
that. They know they got you because
Oh, yeah.
you're busy 24/7.
I was
Yeah.
working 6 to 7 days a week.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
But it was okay. I mean, it
Yeah.
was a great experience. I'd be traveling a lot, going to New Jersey or Miami or whatever.
Yeah,
and
you were
just
traveling
had
the
fun
country,
shoots.
right? Because they're shooting all over the country.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. And so we sometimes somebody would complain that I'm going home at 2:30 in the afternoon and be like, no, I'm going back to Long Beach before traffic starts, and then I'm gonna keep working until about 11 o'clock at night. So there's nothing to complain about.
Yeah, right. and that's what so many people don't understand. I know you're as an independent producer now, and me and G&E, it's the same way. At 9 o'clock, I'm still answering an email.
Yeah.
I'm passing information on, you know. So, excuse me. It's that part of it. It's that part of the job that really is so wearing.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Guys, can I get a glass of water or something? Excuse me. I'm so sorry. I'm so
okay.
sorry. Can we go to a commercial real quick here? Sure. All right, great. We'll be right back.
Burnie's workshop is fantastic. Burnie's workshop is awesome. Burnie's workshop is insightful.
Burnie, in one word, passionate maybe. You can tell he really cares a lot.
Burnie is a badass.
He's a great teacher. He has great stories, and I would recommend this to anyone. Not only someone like me who's starting day one, but I feel that in any profession, as you sharpen your sword, it always gets sharper.
I think the best thing about this is the access to understanding how to run your business, how to actually be in this filmmaking industry and make money at it. Coming to this workshop, I think, is what actually gets you the tools to understand how to do that, how to get out there and sell yourself.
I thought that was really cool. I thought, he knows all the tricks in the book, and he knows how to show that to us and actually demonstrate it so we actually know what he's talking about.
I really like the hands-on experience. That's something that you don't find a lot, but something you have to go on set a lot to just appreciate.
I know this is lighting seminar, but it's not only talk about lightings. He also share his business experience, personal experience, and guide us to what we should do, what kind of personality we should have in this business.
His stories, I think that kind of say everything in a few example stories that he gives out from time to time.
I would recommend this workshop to anybody who just spread into the industry, people who just don't know the swing of it. A lot of the stuff they don't teach you in film school.
I deal with a lot of freelancers every day, a lot of peers that I went to school with, a lot of professionals in the field, and they all need to take this class because it puts you on the next level, on the next playing field.
Burnie's a great guy. Burnie's really authentic. Like everything he learns, everything he teaches, the way he handles himself, the way he deals with other people, he's a one-of-a-kind guy. Someone I've never come across before in the industry, and someone I hope to emulate and hope that there are more people like him out there that can help.
Hey everybody, here we are. We're back with our friend Ivan Gonzalez.
Hello.
All right. And we were just talking about that process of you. Now you're busy all the time with script to screen. They're really doing a lot of stuff. Tell me the one or two important things that you learned when working for script to screen. I'm sure there's many.
Oh yeah.
But give me some of the things that you probably think are the most important that stuck with you throughout your career from there.
Well, I personally call script to screen the script to screen school for producers, because you learn to do so many things there, because I took on so many roles. I was sometimes there's a budget for like a testimonial producer, and sometimes there isn't.
Okay.
So then guess who gets to do that?
Yeah.
This guy.
Right.
Or sometimes there's 4 different shows happening at the same time and there's not enough producers.
Yeah.
Guess who takes on the extra
You
work?
get thrown in there.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it was all fun. And then because I could shoot as well and direct, I got to
Would they
go
give you
and
the
do a
little
lot of
projects like go out and shoot this,
Yeah.
get this testimonial?
For example, one of the last shows that I produced was Metrics 180. It's an exercise, what do you call it? A fitness program, basically.
Okay.
It's the exercise videos, just like all the Beachbody ones, but this is for Metrics. And Metrics, anybody who's not familiar with them, they make protein bars and all that stuff, and they figure, why not make an exercise program that people can use, and
and it goes along with our product.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so we actually produced the exercise program for them as well.
Awesome.
I was very heavily involved in that. And then we produced the infomercial. And for the infomercial, I was keeping tabs on all the testimonials. From day one, from the selection of the testimonials, I was right in there with Daryl Garcia was the other producer on it. Basically, he was kind of like the lead, like the executive producer almost. And then I was kind of doing everything else.
Right.
And we just did everything. And the testimonials, the selection process and all that, we had a group of 30 people, I think. No, it was 40 people. And out of those 40 people, we wanted to interview 20 people.
Okay.
Normally, you only have time to interview about 12 people.
Yes, I was going to say, that's a lot of people.
Yeah, and then another thing we wanted to do was really get their stories. So I pretty much produced the whole, it's almost like a reality TV show thing. Over 6 days.
You were in their homes? And
I was in their homes with a very small crew. And over 6 days, I arranged for everything in those 6 days. Their schedules, where we were going to be, what we were going to do, what we were going to shoot. We were shooting them working out. We were shooting lifestyle of them. We were doing their interviews, all that. 20 people in 6 days in all over San Diego County.
Wow.
It was a fun time.
Wow. And that takes super organization.
Yes.
Super organization. Keeping all the stories separate, all your story lines.
Yeah.
All of that. That's incredible. That's incredible. So that was a really, you had an opportunity almost at every turn to learn something.
Oh,
new,
yeah.
To learn, to get better, to hone your skills and doing all that.
Exactly.
That is fantastic. So tell me about the transition from script to screen and where you went then.
Then a position opened up at Beachbody up in Santa Monica.
Which is another huge
Yes.
Infomercial producer in the health field or
Yes,
weight loss field or exercise, whatever.
Exactly. They make their own products. They have all these fitness products, like P90X, Insanity,
Sure.
TurboFire, which Script to Screen used to do actually.
Yeah, yeah.
Plenty more. And also they have supplements. And so they were looking for an infomercial producer, for DRTV producer.
Okay.
And eventually I got the job. So it was fun. I got to work at Beachbody for almost 2 years.
Wow.
Got to make the trek from Long Beach to Santa Monica every day.
Wow, that's rough. I know everybody in the LA area wants to stay off the freeways.
Yes.
Right? You'll trade money for that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was a very different atmosphere. It was still fun.
Yeah.
It was just completely different.
Was it much more business? And I don't want to say that in a negative like Script to Screen wasn't, but it was much more business-like. It was much more locked down.
Yeah, more of a corporate structure to it.
Yes, okay.
Where at Script to Screen we had, 25, 30 people working the staff.
Yeah.
And then everybody else is freelance.
And then Ken and Barbie started Script to Screen, right? So it was really generated from sort of a family.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Beachbody at that time had 600 employees.
Oh, wow.
Everybody in one roof almost. It was like, the creative director said it the best. He said, we have a full functioning Death Star right here. You walk into the building, there's people walking around, everybody's got a role. It's like pretty interesting. 3 stories.
Wow, wow. Do you remember what was the general budgets that they would have on a project?
At least $1 million.
$1 million.
Yeah.
$1 million. So they're doing $1 million show.
I mean, if their media buys were $1 million a week anyway. So
that alone, that was probably the real business. I mean, you focus on production.
Yeah.
Probably the real money is in the media buy.
Well,
right?
they want to make sure whenever they had a new show, they just wanted to hit everybody and try to make as much money back as they could.
Yeah.
So even if they spent $1 or even $2 million on a show, it didn't matter because during testing they might spend $100,000 just for testing.
Yeah.
While most of not Script to Screen, but most of DRTV clients are spending $10,000, $20,000 in a week for testing.
Oh wow.
Before they figure out if it's going to work.
What times do we put it on? Who is the demographic? Who responded? Who didn't? All that.
Yeah.
Which I assume there is a science in that as well. That testing.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
because then you figure out, okay, what do we need to change about the show?
Yeah.
And then once you think you have a perfect show, then you put the real money behind it.
You know, let me ask you this. Is there a company that actually will test shows, or did they do it all internally, their testing? Did they send that out to anybody?
There's media companies that do it. Script to Screen has ties with a couple of different companies.
Okay.
I think they just pick whichever is the right one for the project.
Right, right.
And Beachbody, I think, did it all on their own.
Okay. Another thing I wanted to ask you, because I had Ed Gott on here, who, you know Ed?
Yeah.
Yeah. So his company, as you know, they run a sort of a testimonial and testing the product, making sure for the FTC that they can come back with all the facts that this person did follow the program, they lost this much weight, this many inches. So they have documentation on that. Did Script to Screen or Beachbody do that internally, or would they hire outside groups to do that?
Script to Screen usually would hire, especially for fitness.
Yeah.
They would hire people like Ed or David Pugh or whoever else to do that, because especially in fitness, it's very delicate. You can't just like turn on the lights and say, "Oh, well, let's get some fitness testimonials in here."
Yeah.
FTC.
You are being looked at with a microscope.
Exactly.
When those things come on.
So any kind of claims that you have, especially fitness and health related, you have to go with a professional like Ed. And so that's Script to Screen and those bigger companies. They know that.
Yeah.
Beachbody, they kind of do it all internally, but they have their experts there that are.
They have an internal department that is responsible for making sure that those notations or information is compiled in the way that the FTC wants to see it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Now, just a disclaimer here. This is my knowledge from about 4 years ago.
Right.
So things could have changed by now.
Okay. Okay. I had Ed on when I had the radio show.
Oh,
we did
nice.
So no, I think it's about the same. You know what I mean? I think it's about the same. But I've always found that interesting, and that's why I always found I had Ed on the show, is I found that business model fascinating to me. That actually it was something within the industry that rarely do ever people even, I never even thought about it until I met Ed. Yeah, but that is very important. You can't just go on the air and say something. Well, you can, but there's repercussions.
Exactly.
Yeah, yeah.
And then also, usually, you know, you might have to put a disclaimer or something if you decided to hire a bunch of actors.
Sure.
So, and that disclaimer will take away sales at the end of the day.
The disclaimer will.
If it says these are paid actors.
Oh, really?
And testimonials are very important in the DRTV world.
Okay, okay. Give me a little background on that. Give me a little bit of inside knowledge on the testimonial process of it. Yeah, tell me about that. Using an actor as opposed to real people, you say will have a detrimental effect on sales. People just believe normal people better, or the real people, or what is it? How does it work?
Well, sometimes on screen, it'll also look more natural if it's a real person.
Okay.
If it's an actor, maybe they're trying too hard.
Yep.
You know? And then also, if you are paying somebody to give a testimonial, you have to disclose that. That's the law.
Right. Okay.
Or, you know, that's what the FTC wants you to do.
Well, it's the law.
So,
yeah.
And there are products out there that have gotten in trouble for that.
Oh,
You
sure.
always hear people getting slapped with fines.
Do people try it all the time? Do people? So it's sort of some people cheat on it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that's why if I were a big client, I would definitely go with one of the established, you know, infomercial companies.
You know, they've got a relationship out there. They've done this before. Obviously, they've been down that road. You know, I'll tell you my experience with a fitness product and stuff was, and I'll back into saying the name of them because because this was my experience. We went into Glendale Studios and had a really low budget shoot, right? But it was for 3 days, and we were going to do a workout, you know. So we had the guy come in, the workout guy, and then all of his people followed through, and they did it. These people were on fire. I mean, it was almost like religious. You know what I mean? These people were following this guy, and he was really good. And I mean, they would come in, and you know how it is, like we didn't have a very seasoned team at that time, and the director hadn't really directed that much stuff. So he would, have them working out and stuff, and then he'd get distracted when he should have yelled cut. He didn't yell cut, but all these people, they're still out there giving it like 100%, and I'd go, hey, do you want them to keep going? He goes, oh, no, cut,
Wow.
And but these people could care less, and
Yeah.
they'd go back and they'd start eating donuts at the thing. They no diet restrictions whatsoever. And we did the job, left. 6 months later, I hadn't heard about it at all. I get a call from the DP, and he goes, hey, that thing that we did, it's going nuts. They just showed it in Columbus, and I guess it's just off the charts.
Nice.
It was Tybo.
Oh.
So Billy Blanks, Tybo, and all those people were the originals.
Yeah.
They developed a infomercial for it. You know what I mean? And I've got to say this: it was probably the worst infomercial that I had ever seen up until that moment.
Sometimes that doesn't matter.
And people were sweaty. They were shooting them. They were shooting into the sun. The people were silhouettes. You know what I mean? It was horrible. It was the biggest infomercial up to that time.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
That year that they released Tybo, it came out in a 4-set. I don't know if you recall that. 4 different video cassettes.
Yeah.
It was number 6 of the world's best-selling videos, was that 4-panel set.
Wow.
And I think it was the first time a set had ever achieved that even. So that started my fascination into the world of infomercials, and I realized I never even had any idea at that time how huge they could be.
Oh yeah.
But the thing is the fact that they just did it wrong. They did everything wrong, led to the success, So yes, I see that. Making something too slick did you guys ever confront that? Did you ever have to dumb something down because it worked better dumbed down, or it was just too slick? Everybody looked at it and go, this is too produced.
It depends on the product.
Yeah.
Some of the shows had to be well produced, especially if you're selling a beauty product.
Of course.
Or
that's
something
high
like
end,
that.
yes.
Yeah.
Cosmetics, skincare.
Cosmetics, or anything that's a high price tag on it, like a treadmill or something.
Oh,
like
sure.
that. But a lot of times the product, it kind of requires something that's a little more down and dirty, more homegrown, you could say.
Mm-hmm.
So, and that's what Beachbody did great at. They started doing these like flip cam testimonials and whatever, and so
Right.
that actually revolutionized the whole fitness infomercial industry.
Right, because they were doing the home, people in their home doing the flip cam testimonial, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So instead of bringing a crew and lighting it perfectly and having somebody answer a bunch of questions to, make it look like it was staged,
Right.
Now it's like, oh, this is so real. I'm shooting this myself with my flip cam.
Yeah. And flip cam, there's a dated term.
Yeah, exactly.
I had a flip cam. I think everybody had a flip cam for about 6 months.
Yeah.
And then they had it on their phone. Yeah. That's interesting. So that, at what point is the decision process creatively made for something like that? Like, is it price? You went through a few. You said skincare obviously has to have high production value.
Exactly.
A high-priced, exercise piece of equipment has to have the higher value. When do you see it and say, look, this could go a different way here? What are your benchmarks on that?
Well, I think it all depends on the people at the top.
Okay.
It depends on where you're at, where you're working, whether it was Script to Screen or Beachbody or somewhere else, what they decided was the best thing to do. Like usually it was the executive producer and the founders to kind of figure it out, and then you would get the instructions. And
they would look at a budget. They would say, maybe this is the price point that we want. Here's the demographic we're trying to hit. We already know these things going in, so we will place it in this range of an infomercial.
Now, sometimes the budget wouldn't really change. It's just it would get that money would get redirected.
Redirected, yeah.
Because sometimes you're using real people's testimonials with that flip cam stuff. And then all that money goes into the research of the man hours that it takes to sift through all that footage.
Interesting. Okay.
So it just depends, you know.
Yeah. So it would get, the money would get reshifted to a more higher priority.
Exactly.
Yeah. Interesting. What one infomercial sticks with you the most in so far?
That's a good question.
Because I know they're a blur.
Yes.
I know they're a blur.
Well, as a producer, I had my hand in 13 different products and various infomercials for each one of those products.
Wow.
Infomercials, online content, spots, everything. So this is in only 5 years that I was a producer.
Okay.
So that's pretty good.
That's very good.
I know a lot of producers out there that in 5 years they might have made 5 infomercials.
Right.
So.
Right. No, that's a major deal.
Yeah.
What was your most successful?
The Derm exclusive
Okay.
when I was at Beachbody.
Okay.
When I was producer of that brand for about 6 months, we were #1 at Beachbody. We were beating Insanity.
Wow.
In
For
sales.
6 months. It's
6
one thing to be #1 for a month.
Yeah.
But 6 months. That's incredible.
Now, it's a team effort, of course.
Yeah.
But I was definitely heavily involved.
And were you the lead producer on that?
I was the producer on it.
Yeah, that's awesome.
We had a creative director, we had a vice president of production and all that. Those were the people above me.
Right.
And then, of course, the guy at the top, Carl.
Yeah.
But I was the producer of.
What type of kudos would you get when you were the #1? Your project was #1 on the list. Did you get better jobs from that?
No.
They're probably not real.
I don't do that anymore.
Yeah.
That's one of the reasons.
Oh, let's hear about that.
It's one of those things. I mean, a lot of these production companies, they would get awards or great sales or whatever, and I might, if I was lucky, I'd get a pat on the back.
Yeah.
But I was kind of like, I kind of got
No
tired
trickle
of.
down here, huh?
There's no trickle down
Yeah.
in any of these companies,
Yeah.
and that was one of the things that really drove me to start my own business.
Very good. Very good. I don't want to run out of time here. I know you brought a couple of awards that you got. Let's bring that out here. Let's take a look at them. Awesome.
So
give me the speech that you said when you received these. I'm only kidding. Don't worry.
Yeah.
What are these for?
Well, 3.5 years ago, I started my own production company.
Yeah.
We get business from some agencies. We get also direct from some clients. Most of our budgets range anywhere between $10,000 and $25,000.
Okay.
So it's very, very small compared to what I used to do.
Sure.
I mean, I used to work in the millions of dollars budgets. So these were different, but I always hire a crew that sees things in the same way that I do.
Right.
We have a good relationship. We know how to get the best out of it.
You speak the shorthand.
Exactly. And so I started doing this, and a couple years ago we produced a video for EarthFest LA, featuring Ed Begley Jr. And we did this little video. It was a very low budget video, but still, it was like, I shot it, I edited it. Michael Smith was our sound guy.
Okay.
And then Mick, what's his last name? Sorry. All right, so Mick was the creative director / director that we were kind of involved together creating my company, and so we did this, and we ended up. I submitted it this year for the Telly Awards.
Okay.
And we got the Telly Award for it for cause marketing, so it was pretty awesome, to finally get some recognition, even though I have been involved in some shows with these larger companies that they got awards for, but I never heard about it until I looked it up.
Oh, really? So you weren't even told that?
No, not even told.
That's kind of keeping you in the dark.
Oh,
huh?
yeah.
Yeah.
So whenever I got these awards, I made sure to let everybody who was involved know, hey,
That's
congratulations.
really awesome.
If it wasn't for you, we wouldn't have done
That's
this.
Is that piece in something that you gave us?
Yes,
Do we have
it
that?
is.
What is it? Tell the guys that, though. Maybe we
It's
can bring
the
that up.
Ed Begley.
Okay, I think we got it. So, Tony, just let it rip anytime that you can. And can we talk over this? Yeah, okay.
People get overwhelmed by the scope of the problems: climate change, big jars of plastic in the ocean, ozone depletion, the drought, loss of our aquifers. I think they're also overwhelmed by the solutions. What do I do? We're like at base camp trying to climb this Mount Everest of environmental ills. And you know, what kind of equipment do I need? Do I need these kind of shoes and that kind of rope and these kind of grappling hooks? Or what do I need? The important thing to recognize is you don't run up Mount Everest. You get to base camp and you get acclimated and you only climb as high as you can. When I started in 1970, I didn't have a lot of money for fancy solar panels or a fancy electric car. I did it all as a broken, struggling actor with very little money. And people say to me today, I can't do the things you do. I say, good, neither could I when I started. But can you buy a light bulb? Can you buy some weather stripping and put it up? Can you buy an energy efficient thermostat? Can you do some home gardening, some home composting? Can you ride a bike if weather and fitness permit? Can you take public transportation if it's available near you? Can you do those things? And most people say yes, because all the things I mentioned are cheap. Start there. Do the things that you can do. This is Ed Begley. See you September 13th at EarthFest.
That's awesome. That's awesome. That's really nice. Let's run that, guys, with the volume down, and then just walk me through some of your creative thoughts and processes on this.
Sure.
When you did it, what you know, how you came up with your ideas for this. So yeah, anytime, guys, you can go and share.
We were basically meeting with,
People get
the
overwhelmed
DG that was,
by the
doing
scope of the
Fest
problems,
down
climate
there
change.
at Zedia, and we're like, okay, well, we got to get something done to kind of get people to show up. And we were just like, oh, let's just go to Ed Begley's house and shoot it, because he was a big proponent of the event.
Oh,
And so
well
he was very
known.
involved.
Yeah, well known as an eco warrior, I guess.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So they gave us his info. We contacted him, and he let us go to his house, and we filmed it, and you know, just kind of had a nice conversation there for a couple hours, and shot it, and basically just said, hey, just look into the lens and say what you want to say. And
So no teleprompter or anything.
no
he
teleprompter.
just delivered.
Yeah, he was great, because he knows exactly what he's talking about.
Yeah.
And this is a great little video. To get people into, okay, I don't have to spend a lot of money to be
Right.
green, you know?
Right.
Yeah.
And this is a direct. I think these are so effective. You know, when you have somebody that's not on teleprompter, and you can do it with the pros, do it with a teleprompter, obviously. But somebody coming from your heart, talking like that, direct to camera, to me, that is the most personal.
Yes.
You know, that has the biggest effect on me. You know, when I see that. So that was great. That was awesome. That was awesome. Must be gratifying to win an award for it.
It's fun. It's pretty cool, you know. And then this one, we won the Telly Silver, which is actually the biggest you can get in corporate videos.
Okay.
So apparently about 7% or less of the ones that were submitted end up winning a Telly Silver.
Oh, that's great.
So, yeah.
That's
and
great.
this was for a $10,000 video we did for UST Global, which is a big company. They do IT solutions for Fortune 500 companies. Yeah. And for a little $10,000 video, we're in really great company, because the other videos that won were probably in the range of the 30s and 40s.
Okay, good. You came in low and got it.
Yeah, no, this video was $10,000. The other videos that won the same award were 30 or 40 for bigger companies like Coca-Cola.
Okay, that's awesome. That's awesome. Well, listen, we're almost out of time. How does somebody get a hold of Ivan Gonzalez? What is your?
Oh yeah.
What is your?
This is
your
my
corporate
company name. IG1 Communications.
Okay.
And we do videos, and I have a little present for you, Burnie.
Oh man!
You got your own shirt.
A button up too.
Yeah.
Wow! Look at that. Awesome. That's great. Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you. So how do we get a hold of you?
You can go ahead and email me at ivan@ig1communications.com. You can also call the office at area code 949-754-3088. And yeah, we're located in Irvine, but our clients are literally all over the world.
That's awesome. That's great. Ivan, so glad you could come in today, buddy. Thank
you so much, Bernie.
Yeah, it's great having you. We talked about doing this. We finally did it.
Yeah, thank you. I had a blast.
Yeah, me too. Thank you much. All right, that's it for Bernie's Applebox, and we will see you next week.
Cut. That's a wrap.